Jai Gurudev, Namaste. So let us start our session. Sit straight and gently close your eyes. Take one deep, long breath in. Breathe out. Witness your incoming and outgoing breath. How it comes in, goes out. Now we'll recite Om 3 times. Breathe in for Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Contemplate upon the meaning of this prayer. Take one deep, long breath in. And while exhaling, slowly open your eyes. Namaste, Jai Gurudev. So friends, yesterday we were discussing about the yamas. We have discussed about the eightfold path, wherein it was discussed that these are not the steps. We should understand them as a limbs, as a part. So here you can see the yogic tree. Let me slideshow. Here you can see the yogic tree. It was discussed that if we want to grow this tree, first and foremost is that we have to water the roots. So the roots of this tree are yamas and niyamas. Stem part of this tree, asana pranayam. The different branches of the tree may be pratyahar. Leaves, that is dharana. And On the leaf there comes the flower, it is dhyan, and then what you call the fruit. So fruit and the roots, they are interdependent, interrelated. Each and every part of the tree is interconnected, interrelated. So keeping this in mind, therefore it is not a eightfold view of yoga, it is a way. It was made clear when we were discussing about this Anushtan, the word Anushtan. Abhyas, through Abhyasa, you may develop a view of life, particularly whatever you do, it is a view of life. But when we are coming towards the Anushtana, it is a way of life, it is a way of living. So if this eightfold path becomes the way of living, it means it will help us to eliminate all kind of impurities, whether they are at the physical level, emotional level, or whatever. So we will be able to overcome these, and there will be a light of wisdom. And in that light of wisdom, we will be able to see what is the object as it is. Thereafter, we will be able to see. So this is what we have all discussed yesterday. We were discussing about the yamas. So the first, what you call this, the root, it is yam. They are said to be the universal code wherever you are, if they are to be followed. Actually speaking, this morality means depends. If we follow this, it is not only the Maharishi Patanjali, but also Mahatma Buddha, Mahavir. All these three great yogis have accepted that these yamas, ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, and aparigraha, these are said to be what you call the universal code. Wherever you are, they are to be, and therefore said to be Mahabharat, great books. So it is not limited by the class or the place or the time, past, present, and future, and also the situation. So wherever you are, these are to be, there's no exception at all. So this is what is the yamas. Today, let us discuss about the niyamas. So sutra, the further sutra says, Shauch Santosh Tapaswadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhanani Niyama. Shauch. Shauch is a cleanliness. Shauch is of two kinds. It is the external shauch and internal shauch. So it is but is external, we all know. Every day we are taking bath, we are changing clothes, this and that, brushing, This is surrounding is to be neat and clean, hygienic, this is to be. But the most important is the internal purity, internal cleanliness. This what you call the greediness, anger, infatuation, moh, lobh, krodh, moh, matsar, all these are said to be the inner impurities. These impurities somewhere or other are to be eliminated. And if we follow this, if we are able to do that, and if we get established in this, Maharishi Patanjali says, Shauchat Swang Jigupsa. This disgusting attitude will be developed. What to talk of the other bodies, the person will be able to understand this, the reality of this body. This is the most important. This is the external aspect of this purity. Internal aspect, but Patanjali says, Sattva Shuddhi, your Antakaran. Antakaran means your Man, Buddhi, and Ahankar. This is said to be Antakarana, your inner organs, Man, Buddhi, Ahankar, mind, ego, and your intellect. All these three are said to be Antakarana. Sattva means Antakarana, Shuddhi. So when your Sattva is purified, if your Antakarana is purified, Shauchad, this Sattva Shuddhi, Saumanasyata, then what happens? Cheerfulness. Always you will be cheerful. So inner purity can keep you happy all the time. This is what Maharishi Patanjali says. Sattva Shuddhi, Saumanasyata. Saumanasyata is a cheerfulness. So, and then the second, Sattva Shuddhi, Saumanasyata, and then Ekagrata, one-pointedness, automatically develops. Wherever you focus, you will be able to do that. So, Atam Darshan Yogata, even if you develop this inner purity, you develop that kind of ability to experience the Atam Darshan Yogita, this eligibility. Yogita is eligibility. You become eligible to get the glimpses of your true nature. This is a great concept, It is not only Swachh Bharat, nowadays we are talking about this. Our Honorable Prime Minister has started this. So, Shauch is not only the external Shauch, but it is internal. So, Sadhaka should, even though the Kabir is a Sufi saint, he used to say, Nahaye dhoye kya kare jab man ka mail na dho. What is the use of taking bath? Only you are wasting the water, he says, if you are not cleaning your inner self. Inner self means Antakar. This Kam, Krodh, Lo, Moh, Matsar, all this Shad Ripu, they are said to be the enemy. If you are not means purifying, then what is the use of taking the external bath? So we have to understand that the purity not only for the external but also the internal, because that only internal purity can help you to focus, and then you develop that ability to get the glimpses of our true nature. This is what Maharishi Patanjali talks. Now, the second one is Santosh. Santosh is a contentment. So, it does not mean, there is a one saying, Ajgar kare na chakri, panchi kare na kam, das muluka kya gaye sabke datara. We have to understand this. You have to strive hard. And whatever you are getting out of that, you should be contented, you should be satisfied with that. Contentment is not that whatever you have at your disposal, you are striving hard. So, say for example, you are practicing asana, pranayama, or you are striving hard in this pursuit. So whatever the result you are getting out of that, you should be contented with that. Although you have to, as we are every day practicing, so sometime it happens. If you start thinking in that line, then what will happen to you? You will be distracted from the path. That is what hindrances in the form of obstacle hindrances we have already discussed. So when you are not getting at that state for which you are striving, if you are striving hard but not good, so you should not be discontented, dissatisfied. There should not be any that kind of thought. You should, as in titiksha, titiksha, patience. That is what is to be followed. So ultimately, whatever you are receiving, you should be contented with that. And if you are able to do so, then what happens? Maharishi Patanjali says, Santoshad Anuttama Sukhla. Anuttam. Anuttam means it is a unparalleled. Unparalleled. That kind of sukha, that kind of joy, that can be, what you call, can be achieved. So Maharishi Patanjali is very clear in his this. He says, Anuttam Sukhlav, Anuttam, which cannot be compared. That Sukh cannot be compared with the sensory Sukha or the worldly Sukha. It is a different kind of joy, different kind. You may say, in other words, it is a kind of Ananda, bliss kind of. So, Santosh, that is what we have to somewhere or other. In Vedantic language, when we are talking about the four pillars of knowledge, under the Shat Sampatti, there is a Samadhan. Samadhan, term Samadhan, Samadhan. So you have to be satisfied whatever you have achieved, or whatever you have at your disposal. You should not be dissatisfied, because if you become dissatisfied, then there is a chance that there is a frustration and you may fall. So this is what is the santosha. So it is a, niyamas are said to be the obligatory on the part of sadhaka. They are to be followed. Then only this what you call the further journey will be successful. Then comes the tapas once again, austerity. Now here you can see in the niyamas, tapa, Swadhyaya and Ishwar Pradhan. Once again, Patanjali has included in the niyamas. Now here is a question, if you pay a little attention. When Patanjali has discussed the first sutra of the second chapter of Kriya Yoga, Tapas Swadhyaya Ishwar Pradhanani Kriya Yoga. Now, is it a repetition or it has? So whatever when you understand the concept of abhyasa and the concept of what you call the anusthana, when you are in tune with, in conformity with, it is a difference. That tapas you were trying to become something, you are trying hard for the desired result, but here you are in continuously, you are following this. So this tapas is more subtle level tapas. In the Kriya Yoga, it is a Abhyas Yoga, wherein we were trying, we were keeping mauna, we were fasting, we were practicing pranayama. All these are to me, but it will be a part and parcel of your life. Now it has become your way of life. This is what is to be understood. So it is a more subtle than that of, because that in the beginning we were striving, because we have to develop that, we have to change our habit, that is in the beginning, that is what is Abhyas Yoga, that is what is Kriya Yoga. So action is needed to rechannelize, redirect the flow. So that was so as the action level, this tapa was discussed, and ultimately tapo dvandva sahanam, it is you have to bear the conflict. Now this part is most important here in the form of anusthana. When we follow this, it means that here you can understand, you are able to bear whatever is happening, you are accepting. This acceptance comes in this state, and you are without any disturbance, without any agitation, you accept whatever is happening, you go on accepting. So the austerity here means it is a deep kind of what you call the tapas, wherein whatever is happening, you are accepting it. It is happening. So this is what is called tapas. So kaya indriya siddhi, ashuddhiksha, when all these impurities are slowly removed, what happens to us by following this tapas? We have discussed in detail, so I'm not going in detail. But here, kaya indriya siddhi, Maharishi Patanjali says, kaya means body, indriya means all the sensory organs. So one develops a mastery over the body as well as what you call the sensory organs. Kaya indriya siddhi, siddhi means is a accomplishment kind of you develop that mastery over the body as well as what you call your sensory organs. So otherwise we generally remain the slave of the sensory organs. But now with the help of this tapas is of many kinds. If you follow the mauna, that is also tapas. If you pranayama, paramam tapa, in manusmriti, it is said. So whatever you do, keeping that thought in mind, if you have that goal, and to achieve that goal, if you are striving for that, whatever the situation you have, as example was given, Gurudev has also given example in his commentary. Suppose you have to go to America, at least you have to sit for 17 hours continuously, or at least if you take a break in between, at least 8 hours continuously you have to. So if you direct flight, it is 17 hours continuously. You are feeling something tingling in your legs, and there may be numbness, but in spite of that, you accept it because you have to reach, you have to go your destiny. So you are accepting it. So that kind of acceptance comes. So you bear the conflict. The conflict means pairs of opposite. So you are able to bear the opposites. So automatically that patience also comes. So this is called kaya. With the help of this, you develop a mastery over your body as well as your senses. Now, here the swadhyaya again. The swadhyaya under the Kriya Yoga, it was also discussed. Now the question that I have already discussed, it is not a repetition. As I said, that is a Abhyas Yoga and this is a Anushthan. The difference is that is the more at the Abhyas level, means the process of becoming. Here you are flowing with it. This is what. So now Swadhyaya, Maharishi Patanjali says, Swadhyaya means if you recite some mantras, now there's a deep questioning, inquiry starts. Who am I? What is the purpose of this life? Who has created this universe? All these questions, inquiry starts. So in this inquiry, you go on, you are delving deep and deep and deep. And this is ultimately, and that is the reason why Maharishi Patanjali says, Swadhyayat Isht Devata Samprayoga. I was discussing one day with you that when you are performing any action through your body, your hands, but your mind is somewhere else. In our scripture, we used to call it prayoga. It is all experiment kind of. In English, you call it experiment, but in our we used to call it prayoga. When your mind and body both together, they are integrated, and in this integrated state, if you perform any action, it becomes samprayoga. And then the samprasada, when these two are synchronized, body, mind, both are together performing any action, it means there is a samprayoga. It is called samprayoga. This is means proper experiment. And it leads you towards the samprasad. Samprasad is a clarity of your, what you call, or the cheerfulness. It brings that kind of cheerfulness. So this is what is the, what you call, this is Swadhyaya leads you towards that side. When you inquiry comes, it is said, I was also discussing one day, this Charandas yogi and his master Shukdev, so he was hesitating to ask because he had some inquiry, some curiosity in his mind, and that comes when you start this inner journey. Then many questions comes during that time. These questions, if you dive little deep, what you call the mananam or the chintanam, this mananam, chintanam, swadhyaya, I had discussed with you the three kinds. Patnam, in the beginning is a patnam. In the Kriya Yoga level, you may call it patnam. And then it is mananam or chintanam, and then nididhyasanam. So this is called patnam, mananam, and nididhyasanam. So, or mananam or chintanam, you may say. So this is you are in the deep level. Now you are understanding. If you see, go through this, even our epistemology, this is the source of knowledge, epistemology. Particularly if you go through the Nyaya philosophy, in Nyaya philosophy, they have given a lot of emphasis to understand the Praman. Praman means, in other words, it is epistemology. So they have given a lot of emphasis because that gives you, if you do this as Swadhyaya, you will be able to understand how you are perceiving this universe, the way you are perceiving, what is wrong in your perception, everything they have means subtle aspect of perception and subtle aspect of how we are perceiving this universe. If you want to understand it properly, I think it is better to go through the Nyaya philosophy, logic, which we used to call. But it is not only the logic, we call it Bad also, because there's a debate also between one thought, Uttar Paksh, Purva Paksh, there's a long story. So that you will be able to dive deep into these questions, and then you will automatically get the answers. Maharishi Patanjali said, Swadhyayat Ishtadevta, whatever you want to achieve, you will be able to achieve that with the help of this Swadhyaya. And again, coming to the Ishwar Pranidhana. We have discussed about the nature of Ishvara, what is the nature. It is always remain unaffected from the kleshas, from the karmas, from their vibhak, and everything. One who remains unaffected from all these things, they are said to be Purusha Vishesha. That is what we have discussed in the first chapter. And thereafter, with a view to establish this, again, they say that his knowledge is unsurpassable knowledge, and therefore said to be the seed of all knowledges. And to establish this more, he is said to be the master of ancient masters. And what is the symbol? The pranava is said to be the symbol of this. And then, if you recite that, what happens to you? Your chetna, which is flowing outside, it becomes introvert automatically. So one who is reciting Om and contemplating the sound, this is a sound concept. It is not Lord Vishnu or Lord Brahma or Lord this or that. It is not that. It is an abstract concept. It is clearly mentioned. And if you go through the this Mandukya Upanishad, or you will be able to understand this, the theory of this Om. So it is a pranava, pranava. Pranava means Om. Only why we used to call it Om? Abati means Rakshati. It protects. How it protects when you recite this Om? How it protects? Because your conscious is moving outside. When it moves outside, it takes you outward, and then you get lost, in this pursuit of material side. So how it protects? Introvert. Pratyag Chetana, your conscious becomes introvert immediately if you recite it properly. That's good. So Ishwar Pranidhan is a kind of, because it was discussed with you, when you develop this kind of attitude, Naham Karta, nothing is in my hand. Whatever is happening, it is happening because of the will of God. Acceptance comes immediately if you accept it. So we have to develop. So godly consciousness always, if you, as I was discussing with you, it is always keep in, you have that, whatever you do, you are doing. Jat jat karomi tat tad akhilam. Whatever I am doing, it is only your service, nothing else. That kind of attitude once, what Patanjali says in the 45 Sutra, Ishwar, Samadhi Siddhir Ishwar Pranidhana. The Samadhi, the total integration, can be achieved only through the Ishwar Pranidhana. Now there's a question, and these commentators, they have discussed and they have given the idea when Vigyan Bhikshu raises this question. Vigyan Bhikshu is a great commentator of 9th century. Like Vachaspati, these are the contemporary, both Vachaspati and Vigyan Bhikshu, they are considered to be contemporary. Thoda fark hai usme. So Vigyan Bhikshu says that if only this Samadhi can be achieved only through Ishwar Pranidhan, then what is the use of other practices given by Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra? Vachaspati replies properly. It is a wonderful discussion, wherein he says all other practices ultimately develop that kind of surrendering attitude. As in our Upanishadic literature also, when we say, if our apara vidya, all this empirical knowledge, whatever the knowledge, empirical knowledge, if it is not leading to the paravidya, towards the this self, towards this Brahman, so this is useless knowledge. That is what. So every knowledge should, what you call, ultimately, इस सारे ज्ञान की परिणति अगर उसमें, उस भाव में, ईश्वरीय भाव में स्थिर नहीं होती, तो उसका कोई यूज नहीं है. So ये जितने भी बाकी के उपाय दिए गए हैं, whatever the means described by Patanjali, all are somewhere or other facilitating this, what you call, the Ishwar Pranidhana, leading you towards the Ishwar Pranidhana, wherein you develop an attitude, na ham karta, I am not the doer, hari hi karta, na ham karta means your doership, because this doership is the culprit, ultimately. Because of this doership only, we are suffering, Otherwise, if we accept that it is happening only because of the will of God, it does not mean that you are, see, you have to just, whatever is at your hand, whatever you can do, you do it to that extent, and the rest of the things should be left immediately on God. So this is what, this attitude somewhere there. And if we get established in this attitude, you are in the state of Samadhi. Samadhi is not that state wherein we have to sit in one corner of the room by closing our eyes. No, it is not that. When you are behaving in the day-to-day life, you are interacting in the outer world. You might have seen the Sthit Prajna of Bhagavad Gita. That is what is the state, Sthit Prajna. His Prajna is sthir, steady hogi. Kahan? उस ईश्वर में, भगवान ने कह दिया, उसमें भगवान के उसमें स्थिर हो गई बुद्धि. When you get this kind of state, so then nothing is left. So nothing can harm thereafter. No cycle of this birth and death will be repeated. All the, what you call this new karmashe, so that is heyam dukkham anagatam, anagat, the karmashe, which is not yet, means, so it will be stopped. This cycle of reforming, or this, what you call this karmashe, this will be stopped. So this is what is Samadhi Siddhi Ishwar Pranidhana. One can accomplish that Samadhi only with the help of this Ishwar Pranidhana, and all other means, they are also leading us towards that attitude, towards that. So I will stop here. Tomorrow we are going to discuss another tradition of yamas and niyamas. So that is also, this is the other tradition, Vashishta tradition. Tomorrow we are going to discuss once again. We'll stop here. So please sit straight once again. Gently close your eyes. Just witness your incoming and outgoing breath. And when I say witness, natural incoming and outgoing breath, we should not manipulate our breathing. Just as an observer, we have to observe. Go in along with breath. Come out along with breath. Do it 2-3 times. Now we'll recite our prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhave. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Once again, take one deep, long breath in. And while exhaling, slowly open your eyes. Namaste, Jai Gurudev.